Yes, you read that right. ESPN analyst Monica McNutt is again under fire for her latest take on Caitlin Clark. After an underwhelming performance by Clark in Game 1 against the Connecticut Sun, McNutt made a bold prediction that has both shocked and angered WNBA fans.
Look, you gotta understand that the Connecticut Sun have been a top 3, if not the #1 defensive team in the WNBA consistently 4 out of the last 5 seasons. Now, mind you, this was also the game that Caitlin Clark opened the season with. Now, Caitlin has a track record of when she has low-scoring games, which we haven't seen many of, she bounces back with plus 25-point performances.
Right. She's a little bit of a Rubik's Cube player there, trying to sort of figure it out, David.
Honestly, I didn't see that coming from McNutt. Monica McNutt isn't exactly known for going easy on Caitlin Clark.
Nice.
In fact, she's taken heat before, like back in July when she picked Angel Reese over Clark for WNBA Rookie of the Year, citing that Reese's team had a better record. And we all know how that turned out.
I have said this all season, BC. My Rookie of the Year is gonna go based on the standing.
Okay.
Because I think that is how you have the opportunity to measure impact.
And the sky's right above them.
And the Sky right now are in the playoffs, so you'd have to give the nod in my mind to Angel Reese. Look.
In this video, we're diving deep into McNutt's controversial statement and what it means for Caitlin Clark's future in these playoffs. Is McNutt on the verge of eating her words, or has she seen something the rest of us are missing? Stick around because I guarantee all your questions will be answered. Caitlin Clark's Indiana Fever faced the Connecticut Sun in Game 1, and let's be real. Clark didn't show up the way we've come to expect, scoring just 11 points. She shot an abysmal 4 for 17 from the field, including a woeful 2 for 13 from beyond the arc.
I don't think it affected me, honestly. I felt like I got good shots, they just didn't go down, and obviously a tough time for that to happen. Coach said in the locker room, like, we were down 3 the first quarter, down 5 second quarter, lost by 3 in the third. Like, we were right there, and I felt like we just played a crappy game. Like, the flow of the game was really bad. I don't know if that was the reffing. It was probably partly us because we struggled to get stops at times, but also, like, the clock getting messed up. Like, it was just one thing after the next. But, yeah, overall, like, it didn't bother me. Obviously, it didn't feel too good when it happened, but it is what it is.
It was, without a doubt, a rough game for the rookie, especially after such a stellar season where she earned Rookie of the Year honors and finished 4th in MVP voting. McNutt, however, didn't hesitate to throw her 2 cents in, predicting during an ESPN NBA Today segment that Clark would bounce back in Game 2 with a 25-plus point performance.
Dejanay Carrington is in the running for Defensive Player of the Year as a guard position, and she didn't even start with the primary assignment. It was DeWanna Bonner with that tremendous length. Stephanie White and those guys cooked up a scheme that was designed to cut the Fever off at their head, and their head is Caitlin Clark. Now, Caitlin has a track record of when she has low-scoring games, which we haven't seen many of, she bounces back with plus 25-point performances.
Right. She's a little bit of a Rubik's Cube player there, trying to sort of figure it out, David.
And to be fair, McNutt did acknowledge the Suns' suffocating defense, led by DeWanna Bonner and Dejanay Carrington, both known for their elite defensive skills. But the boldness of her prediction still left fans scratching their heads. Was it confidence in Clark's ability to rebound, or was McNutt simply hedging her bets after being called out by fans and other analysts for underestimating Clark earlier in the season? Let's get down to the nitty-gritty of what went wrong for Clark in Game 1. The Connecticut Sun have consistently been a top defensive team in the WNBA for the past 5 years, and they were laser-focused on shutting down Clark.
Yeah, out of all the teams in WNBA, the Connecticut Sun are the most uniquely designed to defend Caitlin Clark. They can throw length at her with Bonner, who really threw her off her game. I don't think people expected that defensive matchup. She was 0 for 4 to start the game with Bonner, and then she started to press a little bit, which allows Dejanay to start to guard other players. And she had Kelsey Mitchell also in a straitjacket. They were combined 4 for 23 from 3. That Connecticut Sun team is going to pressure you and tire you out and wear you out on offense. And they made the shots difficult for Caitlin Clark. So when she got open shots, she was still missing, and they made those passes really difficult to complete. 8 assists is not too shabby, but she had, she was not able to orchestrate the offense the way that she usually does because the way the Sun were really frustrating her.
Bonner, with her tremendous length, started on Clark and made her life miserable from the get-go. Carrington, a candidate for Defensive Player of the Year, took her turn, locking up Clark as well.
11, could we just play this on a loop? I'm not exaggerating. Caitlin Clark's trying to pass the ball in the first 2 minutes of the game, and this woman swats at the basketball and somehow decides to turn her hand down and her fingernails and jab them right into the eye of Caitlin Clark. No foul call. No refs stopping the game to go look. Is this a flagrant? None of that. Just everybody moved on.
The Suns' strategy was clear. Cut the Fever off at their head, and their head is Caitlin Clark. And that strategy worked. Clark never found her rhythm, missing open looks and forcing shots she would normally drain with ease. Let's not forget, this is a player who's known for her ability to take over games, especially when the stakes are high. But Game 1 was an entirely different story. She struggled to orchestrate the offense, finishing with just 8 assists and never really looking like the player we've all come to admire. But here's where things get interesting. McNutt pointed out something that might give Fever fans hope: Clark's track record after low-scoring games. Historically, when she's had an off night, she comes roaring back, often dropping 25 or more points the very next game. And with Game 2 looming, the question remains: will she bounce back, or will the Sun have her number once again? Now, let's address the elephant in the room. Monica McNutt's sudden shift in tone didn't sit well with a lot of fans, and if I'm honest, I can see why. After spending most of the season downplaying Caitlin Clark's achievements, McNutt is now suddenly singing her praises. And while Clark's Game 1 performance was far from her best, it seems a little too convenient for McNutt to change her tune now that public opinion is swinging so heavily in Clark's favor. Let's not forget, McNutt has been riding the anti-Clark train for a while, even choosing Angel Reese over her for Rookie of the Year. Reese may have had a decent season, but she's nowhere near the star Clark has proven herself to be. Honestly, it feels like McNutt's latest praise for Clark is more about saving face than offering genuine analysis. Fans are right to be frustrated. This sudden positivity feels like McNutt trying to dodge the backlash after being called out for her earlier takes.
There's a lot of women that was on ESPN that had a lot to say earlier about this. They gone quiet now.
You say they quiet?
Y'all quiet now. Now, I want somebody to send that to you, because you know who I'm talking about. I ain't going to call your name, but you know who you are. Y'all had a lot to say early. Y'all had a lot to say early. And if you think I'm talking to you, I am. Make no mistake about it. I'm talking to you. You know who you are. One of you was a former coach. I get a little bit more specific. Some of you played the game. Now, I want y'all to have that same thing when y'all were talking. Don't get mad now.
Let's be real. Angel Reese is flashy, sure, but she doesn't have the skills or leadership to take over games like Clark can. Honestly, it feels like McNutt is just doubling down to save face after her previous takes blew up in her face. Before we continue with the video and my further explanation about Monica McNutt's controversial take, I want to ask for your help. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subs by the end of the year, so I'd really appreciate it if you would subscribe and help me out. Okay, let's continue. Looking ahead to Game 2, it's do or die for the Fever, and if Clark can't find her groove, Indiana's season could be over just as quickly as it began. But I'm with McNutt on this one point. Clark has a history of bouncing back from poor performances. She's built her career on silencing doubters, and you best believe she's heard the noise after Game 1. The Sun, however, aren't going to make it easy. Their defense is relentless, and they've shown that they can throw multiple defenders at Clark, forcing her into uncomfortable situations. If the Fever want to extend this series, they'll need more than just a strong showing from Clark. They'll need their entire offense to click, something that didn't happen in Game 1. The Fever's other stars, like Kelsey Mitchell and Aaliyah Boston, will also need to step up. Mitchell had a solid Game 1 with 21 points, but it wasn't enough to counterbalance Clark's struggles. The Fever need all hands on deck if they want to push this series to a decisive Game 3. So, where do we stand? McNutt's prediction that Clark will bounce back with a monster Game 2 isn't exactly a far-fetched idea. After all, Clark has proven time and again that she thrives under pressure. But let's not pretend McNutt is some kind of genius for predicting this. Anyone who's watched Clark play knows she's capable of turning things around. What I find more interesting is whether this series will be the one where Clark's legend grows even more, or if this will be a painful early exit from the playoffs for Indiana. One thing's for sure, all eyes will be on Clark come Game 2. What do you think? Will Clark silence her critics, Or are the Fever in deeper trouble than we realize? Let me know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this analysis, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching WNBA Reports, and I'll see you in the next video.